Perfectly Obstinate People with Kathy Kolbe share stories of resilience, persistence, and defiance. Kathy Kolbe has empowered millions to trust their guts. Now Kathy empowers you to be you.
You are taking over leadership of a major quantum shift in your industry. And you're saying, I'm the guy.
In this episode, Kathy Kolbe talks with an entrepreneur and civic leader who has overcome numerous obstacles to create a family business. Jerry Lujan is founder of Elevation 180, which helps producers grow their business in a changing environment.
Jerry, welcome.
Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate it.
You came to me with a question, and we've worked together for, it's been well over 20 years.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the main question is how do you interact and utilize the affective part of the mind, the conative and the cognitive, and bring them all together so that you really know, in essence, everything about a person? Because as technology is coming into the world, high-performance teams are going to be essential to not get disrupted by the technology.
Kathy Kolbe has clarified how the creative process utilizes thinking, feeling, and doing. She's explained how these three parts of the mind work collaboratively to help you solve problems. Here's her pioneering point of view.
And so I'm just fascinated with the best way to build high-performance teams, knowing that all three parts of the mind kick in.
And you've built high-performance teams. You've built an incredibly successful company and then spun it off, and now you're helping other people build high-performing teams. So I'm sure that what you've discovered is it's not just having the right MO or being smart. You have to have the will, the drive, the effort to use those things. And what I've found is we can assess people's natural abilities. We can know how smart they are. We know their MOs. But if they don't make the effort at a high enough level, they're not going to contribute significantly to a team. So I built the Dynamind levels of effort as a part of trying to assess what levels are there and at what levels do people have to be in order to succeed in the environments that you're talking about. You're in the insurance industry, and what you know is you can be a provider. You can go out and talk to people and sell insurance. If you have the right MO and you make a commitment of that MO, you can be a pretty good salesperson. Are you going to be a leader in the field? No.
Our natural way of taking action is our conative MO, which can be measured with the Kolbe A index.
So what you're looking for, I think, in your work now, after all these years of being in the field, is how do you get to those higher levels, not just in the conative, but in the affective and the cognitive. Because if you make a commitment of your MO, okay, that's great, but you got to have a conviction in the affect that this really matters to you. You talk about the why. Why am I doing it? Well, if you're not really a person of conviction, you're not going to stick with it. And then if you don't get to the level in the cognitive where you're truly evaluating your options, people aren't going to contribute well to the collaborative team. So I think the 3-level on the Kolbe Dynamind is important, because anything below that is just getting started, you're beginning to rev up, but you're not really yet putting forth the effort. Does that make sense to you?
Makes a lot of sense. So getting to level 3, 4 is better, 5 is better, obviously, of that. The main question I have is, how do you assess that to know where they're at? Is there questions that you ask?
Yes, we have the Dynamind interview process. And that Dynamind interview process is something I've been working on. In fact, it's interesting you're just asking, because I've been working on this a lot in the last year. And refining the interview, the Dynamind interview, it's the questions you ask, how you ask them, and how you follow up. Because too many candidate interviews especially, ask a question with no follow-up. Well, that's no conversation. You're not getting anywhere. And I realize there are all kind of legal issues people have with, we have to ask everybody the same questions. Well, not really. I don't think if you look more deeply into the law. I don't think the law says you have to be a little wind-up toy and ask the same question the same way to everybody. I think you have to have some consistency. Well, if your consistency is the dynamite and your questioning is similar kinds of questions and your follow-ups are similar, I don't think there's a problem. Everybody, of course, should look at their in-house counsel or whoever's advising them on this. But at the risk of hiring the wrong people, you're asking, what have you done? Let me give you an example. Jerry, what problems did you overcome in business that would help me identify that you're a guy who really does stick with and care about problems even when they're tough?
Well, in my case, I knew the business was backwards, and I knew it had to be changed in order to really be able to grow the business. And so I had to fight battles not only internally but externally throughout the industry that everybody said I was crazy about the way that I was going about things. And it was one of those that I knew things had to change, and so I just had to continue to fight the battles from every angle. And now I'm seeing that the industry has some big issues that are coming because of technology. And if the industry doesn't change, which it's an old, antiquated, stodgy, too big to fail industry, it's just going to get hammered by technology. And so I'm on a mission now how to think about things differently to help transform the industry before it gets totally disrupted by technology.
So what you've just told me on the dynamite, if I were interviewing you to see if I wanted to hire you, by the way, let me know when you're available. What I've heard from you with your answer is you care at such a high level, you're willing to risk your own comfort, you're willing to go out and create a whole new system. You're willing to take on the big boys. You're willing to say to an industry that you've been a part of that, look, that's past. We got to look at a new future. I'm hearing in your answer that in the past, I've overcome obstacles. I've made changes. I've taken on challenges, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it bigger. So on the dynamite, that takes us beyond just a self-awareness, beyond I have a commitment to a passion in the affective to do it, and a mission in the cognitive. You, in the cognitive, are sounding very persuasive. You're a thought leader now in your field. You always have been, but now you know it, you're owning it, you're doing it. You are at a 4 level on the dynamite. From just the answer you gave me, I know that. Now, obviously, it's my system. I've created the language around it, so I hear it very readily. When somebody else hears it, I think they know it too. They just don't know how to break it down. So when I break it down, the affective is the passion I've heard in your voice and in your purposefulness about why you want to do it. As soon as we get to purposeful, now it isn't just I want to do this. Cognitively, I am determined. I have a purpose. I will do it.
I just wake up every morning now thinking about that, and I just know I have to do it.
So at level 4 on the dynamite, you are persuasive. That's why when you came in today, I said, Jerry, you're a thought leader. You're a thought leader when you get to the 4 on the dynamite, and you're persuasive. Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense now. Being purposeful that takes a whole different level of thinking. I'm just seeing things in it through a different lens now. That is, as I understand now, and then I had to start studying technology, which I'm as low tech as it comes, but of really understanding exponential growth and where it's going, and the impact that that's going to have, and how fast it's going to have an impact. I started seeing that people didn't believe me when I started talking about where artificial intelligence and things like that are going. And I just feel now that I'm the one that I have to expose it in order to help save it.
And this is where you have just given me the answer to, are you at a 5 level? You've gone beyond the 4 level. What you are now recognizing, because I think you've been at the 5 level before, but you're recognizing that you're at the 5 level, which is the level you're not just passionate about what you need to do, you are compassionate. You have compassion for those who need to learn, who don't know. I know of many of your community involvement where you're very compassionate about members of your community who haven't had the chances you've had. But within the work setting, you're also compassionate. You're trying to take everything you know and help other people get to where you know they can go. You're reaching out to others, and now you're finding the joy of knowing it. I'm helping people. I want to help people. I can help other people. I can make a difference, not only in my own company and for my own family. And you've done so much for so many family members and community people.
You know, I feel like this is it's an obligation now. And it's kind of scary at times to think about it that way as an obligation, but like I said, it's getting me up every morning. And I don't know when it was that it hit me that it was like, okay, no one else is coming. So it's going to have to be me, at least to start this thing and make people aware. And the more that I'm talking to people about this, it's finally starting to resonate that, oh man, you're right, it's coming faster than we thought, and we have to do something about it. And I guess recognizing that at level 5 is, I wasn't sure that I knew that. I just knew something was different, and my mindset was different about the next phase and what it's going to take in order to get this done. And I'm in a place where I'm ready for it.
And now you have the opportunity, and I see how much it's energizing you. It's this burst of energy inside you that I'm seeing that says, I can do this, and now is the time. And you are taking over leadership of a major quantum shift in your industry. And you're saying, I'm the guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. The other day I was writing out, what is this going to look like? And I'm 58 years old, so I wrote a 22-year plan and said, do I have that's kind of how I've lived my life in stages, I guess. And I've said, okay, I've got 22 good years of energy, at least for this section. And then when I hit 80, I'll figure out what the next one is.
Well, at 77, I'm going to tell you, you're a young'un. Not to worry. You can't, at any age, stay at a 5 level all the time. What do you do at the 1 and 2 level? Because we know it's doing almost nothing.
Yeah, I play golf, and I used to play it, a lot more competitive. But now I just go out and relax, and usually have a beer or two and take it easy. Or it's kind of like dumb TV. I just will sit around. I don't have anything out. I'd always have a notebook or something, even if I was watching the couch, writing something, anything I'm thinking about. And now I know that in order to have the energy to do what I want to do, that I'm not reading,
You're re-energizing. And what we know cognitively is we all have the same amount of energy, and we burn them up. Doesn't it feel good to just relax and then wake up the next morning ready to go again?
Yeah, it's interesting. For 30 years, I felt, I was changing a lot of things, and there was times when I had a lot of fun, but there would be spurts where I would just crash. And I didn't realize when I sold my interest in the business after 30 years that I was a lot more tired than I thought I was. Trying to realize when I need to back off a little bit, and I've actually been doing it. And to your point, I'm finding that then when I wake up and I'm ready to go, that I'm ready to go, and I'm getting a lot more done.
So now you're out to change at a much bigger level an entire industry that, without paying attention to you and the changes that you and others see, it's potentially not even going to exist a few years from now because of technology. I mean, you've seen the problems, you know there has to be change, and you're saying, I can do it. I can make the changes that need to be made. You are going to scare the hell out of some people.
Yeah, it's already started. When I start challenging, the industry is so profitable to so many people, especially if they can operate at a mediocre level and still be very profitable. As I've started to challenge where things are going, I'm starting to catch a lot of arrows, and most of them are in my back. And I'm not afraid of it. There was one audience, there was 800 people that are in the insurance industry that I was talking about where technology is going. And there was not very many people happy about my message. And I felt most were kind of just like they didn't want to hear it at all. Although afterwards, about 4 or 5 of them came up and said, "You're exactly right. What can we do about this? We have to start changing it, and we're going to be looking to you to spread the word." But it does. I've had to be careful about how to manage that from an energy standpoint.
And how are you managing it?
I'm having more one-on-one conversations with people in really getting clearer about how to message that to where it doesn't just scare them. So they just turn and run, to where how to bring them into the conversation and give them more specific examples. You know, when I'm speaking in the audience, my family's been in this industry for 90 years, 4 generations now in the industry, and the hundreds, if not thousands of families that it fed. I care so deeply about the audience.
I think part of being obstinate is for you to say that there's some people whose opinions you're just not going to listen to. Not that you don't hear, I mean, you hear kind of the murmurings, but you don't focus on them. Because if you focus on the negative message of the people who want to push back, it would take too much of your time and energy, and they'll bring you down. And what you're doing is trying to talk to the people who can hear at a higher level, who are open to listening to messages like yours. You will lift some people to a higher level, but the people who you're going to engage with and help are at a high enough level to hear you.
Yeah, well, that's why I came to you, because I knew you'd have a way, and you've been thinking about this for a long time, because you've always taught about the 3 parts of the mind: affective, conative, and cognitive. And when I started looking at the Dynamind, I knew there was more to it. And I'm actually thrilled, because now I really can see a way how to have a bigger impact in the industry by knowing more clearly about how this Dynamind works. It's transformative.
Thanks for listening to Perfectly Obstinate People with Kathy Kolbe. Make sure you subscribe today so you don't miss an episode. It's easy, 100% free, and 100% Kathy. Visit perfectlyobstinate.com for more. That's perfectlyobstinate.com.